the first primetime in person since the partnership has been announced. What's it like now to be here face-to-face with members, and what kind of interactions have you been having with the members?
Coming here to primetime it fits right in my wheelhouse. I get engaged from talking to people. The members are asking questions, or what is CEDIA? What does this mean? What is in it for me? So I have the ability to just sit down and chat with the members, and it's great. The feedback has been absolutely phenomenal.
Welcome into the Independent Thinking Podcast. This is your host, Rob Stott. Today we turn our attention back to a partnership that we've spoken about a couple times on this podcast here. While we were at Primetime in Nashville, we had the chance to sit down with Rob Keeler, who is the Senior Director of Sales, Sponsorships, and Partnerships for CEDIA. A role that he's held for a couple years now, but a guy that has plenty of history in the custom integration space. You can run through his resume with stops at, Pioneer, Screen Innovations, BDI, Hitachi, just a bunch of, history and experience in this space. And a guy that, is very well in tune with what goes on in custom integration and, helping dealers. It's kind of his passion as we dive into and helping them, do their jobs better. So, we took the chance while we were in Nashville, his first primetime, CEDIA's first primetime in person since the partnership was announced earlier this year, and just catching up on how things are, what it's like to get FaceTime with the HTSN members and talk about the CEDIA and HTSN partnership and everything he's been able to accomplish, in the few short months here, with this partnership with HTSN, and just great to get his, feedback and take on how things are going and where he kind of sees the partnership going, and diving deeper, into the benefits that HTSN members can realize because of the partnership, with CEDIAs education and all the other offerings that they have on the table. So it was an awesome conversation, one that, we were both excited to have and passionate about, throughout as well. So excited to share it with you here now. So this is our Independent Thinking Podcast with Rob Keeler from CEDIA at Primetime. All right, we are back on the Independent Thinking Podcast, and can we talk about how it's only been a couple episodes, but do you think you can show up, Giles, a few episodes after him here live at Primetime?
My ego can take it. Absolutely. No, it's it's certainly great to be part of it because ultimately our partnership and whatnot is at the end of the day, I hate using that phrase sometimes, but at the end of the day, we're here to support our members in any capacity possible.
Absolutely. And for those that don't know the man, I don't know where you've been living, but this is Mr. Robert Keeler. I'm going to read the little name tag. Senior Director of Sales, Sponsorships, and Partnerships.
Yes,
it is. CEDIA. That's a title, man.
It is. It's actually one of the longest.
Are they going to add anything else to it?
Actually, I wouldn't mind adding the CIT certification on the back. We've been talking about that. I need to live what I say, right? So
absolutely,
we'll add that shortly.
That's awesome. No, but you can tell. Obviously, we're here live at Primetime. We got the music going behind us.
Beats
the atmosphere. What's it like being back in this setting?
The interesting thing is, I think we've talked about this before. This is my first business trip since another event in March. Yeah. And we had to wind down, and we had to cancel a number of events ourselves throughout the course of the year, of course. But the interesting thing is, this is my first business trip since early March of 2020.
Yep.
I joke my wife has traveled more than I have. Of course, it's off to see our daughter or other friends and family, but I have to relearn how to travel.
You're no kidding, man. It was not fun to traipse through an airport trying to reconnect with what it's like to get from the check-in to and then expecting delays and just
my thing was the timing.
Packing, right?
My thing was the timing.
Were you there super early or super late?
It ended up being late. So I leave my house. I'm a half hour away from the airport, so I leave at the 2-hour mark.
Okay.
Now I had to wait for some other family members. And let's just say I subscribe to the if you're on time, you're late in philosophy.
Yep.
And so needless to say, when we get through security and they say we're boarding now, puts a little stress on me. I'm usually good. I've only, in my entire 30-year career, I've only missed one flight.
That is solid.
Yes.
That is solid.
Yeah, and I will tell you, it's nothing. I usually don't. I'm usually cool, calm, collected, but stuff like that will stress me out because I don't have the extra time capacity to do it again.
I'm right there with you. I'd rather be there, like sitting in the in the gate, like an hour and a half early, just so I know that I'm there and I can relax and unwind, get my snacks, get situated, and then calmly board, right?
So I'm hoping my wife doesn't hear this, but we get through security and she wants to get a bite to eat, and I'm like,
They're
yeah,
boarding.
sorry, that's not yet. Sorry, we're boarding.
That plane has literally taken off.
Exactly. So
no, that's awesome. But again, the first primetime in person since the partnership has been announced too. Announced back in February.
Right? we soft launched it early, and I think really
right.
it was April, into March, April that we really kicked things off.
So what's it like now to be here face to face with members, and what are you hearing? In this early, we're sitting here day one of the actual show being open, but what kind of interactions have you been having with the members?
Well, I will say, I don't want to say I predicted this, but we got off to a slow roll because everybody's so busy.
Yeah.
And you'll hear me say ad nauseum, you need to take time to work on your business, not just in your business. So coming here to Primetime it fits right in my wheelhouse. I get engaged from talking to people. Yeah. I'm like a switch is flipped, with me in front of people, and the members, are asking questions, or what is CEDIA? What does this mean? What is in it for me? So I have the ability to just sit down and chat with the members, and it's great. The feedback has been phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal.
What kind of, you mentioned some of those questions. Is there anything else, like what are they asking you about the organization and sort of the ways that they can kind of capitalize on what this partnership brings them?
Well, I think the hard part is a lot of people don't know who CEDIA is. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, out of the 220 some odd members of HCSN, literally I can count the number of members that were CEDIA members on two hands. And so for a lot of members here, they don't understand what the trade association truly means for them. And part of my role is to help them understand what that means, what the benefits are, how to take advantage of them. And I say take advantage of them, I say that jokingly, but that's the reality. It's how does it maximize things for them? My job is to help create opportunities, and what the integrators have to do is take advantage of those opportunities in the manner in which they typically do.
Yep.
So as we work through some of the reasons why CEDIA is beneficial, number one, we've also created a couple other benefits for the members here to have on top of their standard membership, to create a level of engagement. And the conversation I've had today and yesterday and subsequently, again, last couple of days, has really been one of really understanding what's in it for them and what it can mean. And one of our membership team, I love the quote that she provides. She goes, "Members typically join CEDIA for one reason, but renew for another." Okay, so here, HTSN has taken upon itself to provide a CEDIA membership to its members as a benefit. So the dealers didn't have to do anything. So usually what happens when people get things for free, they don't understand the value of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
My job is to ultimately show them the value. And it's working. I mean, it's the engagement is pretty high.
What is that? I think when you think back to the announcement that was made, and obviously the pillar of this partnership being education and everything that's provided there, I imagine that's a big part of it, but what is the pitch that you give to the member to sort of, the bullet point 1, 2, 3 of why this matters to them and how it can help their business?
Well, all said and done, an educated dealer out-indexes somebody who doesn't spend that time working on it. Yeah. I was talking to a member who has an MBA. So I said it's kind of akin to having an MBA. It's, not everybody is down that road. Some people do, some people don't. Sometimes you can learn through the hard knock, of life. Yeah. Some people will take education. But maybe I'm not answering the question correctly here for you, but what I'm getting at is that, what we can offer beyond even just some of the simple benefits is things like that can help their business through our career center, through business insurance, through there's a variety of ways beyond the typical expo conversation. But one of the other things that we've been trying to articulate is you get out of it what you put into it. So this morning I did a presentation. I'll do another one for members as explaining to how to maximize those types of things. So one of the slides in the deck and things I talk about is how do you engage. So they're all the members are listed in a Find a Pro database on CEDIA. So if a homeowner were to look up the member, they can see them. But what they may not see is a complete profile. So part of engagement was to go in, find your listing, update it, make it relevant for you at the time. Because to be blunt, when we set it up, we went off an Excel spreadsheet of the list of members, which is fine. We're loading 200 plus people.
Yep.
But now the dealers need to have some ownership into maximizing their opportunities. Yeah. Again, you get out of it what you put into it. You take advantage of your profile. You read the forum. We have a community forum. You read those. Like in typical social media fashion, there's probably more viewing than active. But there's tons of eyes on that community page, and I've got plenty of success stories as relate. So the level, we've given them a level of engagement to say, do this, download a white paper, not just the please sign up for a class kind of thing, but take advantage of some of the items that we have for them already.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And looking sort of inward at CEDIA, correct me if I'm wrong, you've been there not super long,
2.5 years.
Yeah,
I come from the manufacturing side.
Right. So,
my entire 30-year career has been pretty much on the manufacturing side.
So, that amount of time at CEDIA, what's been most enjoyable for you in the role and kind of what you're doing?
I'm just going to say it goes back to what I was built. My experience is connecting and building those relationships and creating those opportunities. When you get right down to it, this CEDIA as an organization is to help propel the industry forward, and a part of that is making our members successful. So, if it means putting an integrator with a particular manufacturer or two different manufacturers together and having those conversations, that's probably the part that I get, the most energy from. Yeah. And being able to relish in the success of others.
Yeah.
I tend to take more of a servant's mentality, so I love. Like even on my own teammates, I love seeing my teammates succeed. I'll take the heat, let them take the credit, kind of thing, right? So.
That it's the synergies too with like the nationwide way of how we kind of operate. We do a lot, but it's all at the end of the day to see the members succeed. So I think there's a lot of similarities there. I think between the way you approach and kind of what the mission and mindset here at Nationwide. It's like, it meshes well.
Well, and here's another thing too. When you start talking about partnerships, most people define a partnership as 50-50.
Right.
I don't.
Yeah.
And you're going to say, what, Rob? I'm like, I treat it 100-100. Ultimately, if it's 50-50, somebody's not getting something.
Right.
And all said and done, this partnership is designed to help both parties. To be blunt, I love the added membership. It adds credibility for everybody involved. But what I really love is being able to give back some of the education components to help them be better. Because when they're better, the buying group's better, Nationwide's better, HCSN's better, the industry as a whole is better. One of the conversations I had today with a member was kind of I'm hesitant to bring some of my members, my staff along, to have them grow because they might leave because people are having labor issues, right?
Absolutely.
And it goes back to something Richard Branson said about his own team. It's that quintessential quote. Treat them well so they they can leave. But I'm paraphrasing, but it's that same type of thing. And in fact, a gentleman out of Winston-Salem, not too far from your offices. Actually, I think he did the corporate offices.
Yeah, I know.
And the conversation we were talking about was getting his team educated so that they are motivated intrinsically themselves. So they're not just pulling cable. Right. They're more engaged with their customer. They're more engaged with the process. And yes, over time, their roles will evolve.
Sure.
And maybe they move on, open their own firm. For the industry, that's great. For that time, he's probably not happy with it, but he is because he knows that he can count on the individual.
That kind of shows the grooming sounds maybe the wrong word, but the fact that you're able to nurture talent, and help it grow, and that is great for the industry at the end of the day. And I mean, talk about some of the education, because I know, it's wide-ranging in sort of what you guys offer. So when a member hears that you have education, it sounds simple, but there is a lot to it. So how can you break it down and sort of help them understand just what's available through CEDIA?
Well, that's a great point, because there is a variety of options and variety of choices. And if you were to look at it, it's that the thing of too many choices means you don't have none, right? So what we try to do is distill it into a couple different tracks. So at CEDIA, we've got a number of tracks that you can take from an education perspective, and we distilled it down a little bit further for HTSN members. And first and foremost, I would love to have every technician at every integrator CEDIA certified. I'll take one for right now. Just give me one. Let's just start the ball rolling.
Yep.
So what we've done is we've kind of packaged it up so that entry-level certification. And the funny thing is, I say entry-level. Yes, you want to get somebody starting out certified so they're comfortable with things. But what we find is even those who've been here doing it for 20 years absolutely still benefit from even entry-level certification. But we have CIT, Cable and Infrastructure Technician certification available now. We're revamping our Integrated Systems Technician. That's rolling out this fall. New book, new curriculum, everything. So that's a continuation of CIT. We also have a number of other tracks that include business classes. There's 4 business classes for, think of like finance for a non-finance person, or hiring the right person.
Right.
So there's a couple of classes for the business. Remember, our industry is largely based of hobbyists who got into business.
It's crazy.
So there's some business skills that probably need to be nurtured or developed.
Yep.
And so there's some good curriculum tracks on there. And then we've got some more advanced stuff, project management. We're also have revamped our networking thing. I mean, let's face it, with COVID, the network is absolutely paramount, so we've revamped that and, made that available. But yeah, there's no shortage of classes.
Well, the way you're talking about it too, it goes to show that, yes, this is education that you guys have and offer, but it's not like it's constantly like the rest of the industry, right? Like this space, it's constantly evolving, and you're following trends and sort of what's happening in this space and adapting your education to match the needs that these installers need to be successful in their business.
Yep, and that's exactly it. My goal is, I love seeing the success of our members and even non-members. To be blunt, there's a lot of people who aren't CEDIA members. I wish they were, but they're not for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And I still want to see them succeed because it's great for our industry. And especially as things evolve from smart home. I mean, there's been a couple news articles that haven't been favorable on the smart home side, but
you mentioned that it's kind of funny. The way I look at those articles, though, it's that about too many options, right?
Yeah.
And it's really confusing the space, and the smart home hasn't really lived up to the hype, and that sort of thing. But to me, that reads that it's all these DIY things that have failed, and opens the door for an integrator to step in and be like, you really want to see what a smart home's supposed to be?
Yep.
And they come to me. I'm the guy that can show you how all these products are supposed to interact and provide that seamless experience to you, the end user.
Well, and when you get right down to it, the proliferation of these DIY or even do-it-for-me type scenarios where you might need a little help to set up, they're great for our industry, but they are the ground floor of what's possible.
Yep.
Now, granted, there's a lot of marketing horsepower and a lot of brain power behind there. There's no denying that there's some smart people working on some great products. But as the custom side of our electronics, think outside of, think Expo, not CES. As the custom side, there's so much more potential that can be done in a more bulletproof manner.
Right.
And, again, creating those opportunities with the members and the vendors that you guys have here will help that, because ultimately, people start somewhere and then, move up. I mean, you think about people who collect watches or are into cars, maybe you covet a Porsche GT3, but you bought a Boxster first, right? So you'll move up, right? Things like that happen in life, and what's that adage? You don't know what you don't know until you know it.
Right. Absolutely.
And technology is a prime example of that. It really is.
It's a fascinating industry. It's always been fun to follow, and to your point, it's the hobbyists, but those hobbies turn into passions, and it's sort of that you get those gateway pieces of technology that allow you to sort of feel out the space and what it can be, and then again, that's where the integrator can kind of step in and provide that next level of this is the tier 5, the major leagues of what it is. Get out of single A baseball. Here's what it's like up in the majors.
Well, we're talking pre-COVID at this point in time, but I've had some experience from the manufacturing side. I had a couple of integrators that literally their demo space was their home. And they would host 2 parties. This one gentleman I'm thinking of host a party in the spring and host a party in the fall.
Yep.
He says that derives 60% of his yearly revenue just for those 2 parties. So leading up to
incredible.
It, he always he works his manufacturers over for a good reason. I need you to set us up. I might need to make sure it's bulletproof. But when his guests are in his home, he's showcasing outdoor audio, he's showcasing motorized mounts, he's showcasing smart home technology, and it works.
A funny shameless plug, because that exact type of example, that word of mouth marketing, right?
Yep.
Our HTSN member survey that we just wrapped and published here at the show. These guys, they're doing their due diligence and spending money on marketing efforts, but 80% said that word of mouth marketing is still the most successful and most often used form of customer referrals for these guys. So it is those, if it's not the integrator, that's an awesome example of outside the box marketing, by the way. But getting a client that has parties and has people over, and it's that introduction, that the in-person interaction with a product or a demo, just that importance will never ever see.
No, and I will tell you, guys who do well know the art of the demo.
Yeah,
if you showcasing a product is one thing, but there's so many times where people don't know what it means in their own life.
Right.
I call it the invisible feature. You keep talking till something makes sense or doesn't make sense, and I've got plenty of those in my life with my own family. I'm thinking of one particular story with my father-in-law, and it's funny because, again, you don't know what you don't know until you know it. And all of a sudden it's like a light bulb goes on and you're like, I got to have that. But yeah, the art of the demo, and I know demo spaces are probably not in vogue right now with COVID, but how do you articulate that?
Right.
And you're right in that the referral business is crazy. I know of a dealer in LA who, for his business, he finds a lot of his work, like he's a residential guy that does light commercial. So I always say, if you can find some other venues, I think the term everybody's using is resimercial. Yeah, I want to say
Jinx.
I know. I want to say I credit that to Vegeta UG that one, but someone else might have said it as well. But the dealer I was referring to, he'll work a boardroom, and then the senior executive will ask him to do his house.
There you go.
Or he's doing a house, and then it comes out, hey, do you do boardrooms? Right. Now you have to know your limits.
Right.
I mean, you're not going to go in and I live in Minneapolis. You're an integrator. You're not going to go do U.S. Bank without some serious skill set, right?
Right.
But you could do a boardroom, that type of thing.
Oh,
so know your limitations.
That's awesome. But I know there's a lot. We could go for hours, I know, talking about this space, but I know there's a lot that you still need to do at the show, and I just appreciate you taking the time, and I know we'll be catching up again.
My pleasure.
I know you don't have the British accent and everything, but maybe we'll get you back on.
Fair enough. I'll take the compliment however it's given.
Rob, but hey, it's the Rob connection, right?
Exactly, Rob and Rob, Rob squared.
I'll take a Rob over a British accent any day. No offense, Giles, but I appreciate it, and awesome to see you in person, have you here, and look forward to seeing how this partnership blossoms as well. So. Well,
I tell you, it's literally we're at the ground floor, pushing the penthouse button on the elevator. So there's more to come. This is a long, multi-year program, and all said and done, we're here to support you. However
Absolutely.
I can, I will.
Awesome. Well, enjoy the rest of your show.
Thank you.
Awesome, and thanks again to Rob for taking the time, and always great to be able to chat with another guy named Rob, and a little biased towards the name, but I think we put together a great podcast when you get two Robs on there. So, no, it was a great time, and like I said, excited to have him on, talk about the partnership, and dive deeper into it. So, excited to see where he takes it and where he and HTSN can kind of work together, and have this thing grow. So, again, appreciate his time. And as always, appreciate you listening to the Independent Thinking Podcast. And we will catch you next time.